Hello, are you here to debate?
Yep.
All right, what's your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Yep. That's going to be Ryan. Do you need first and last or just first?
Nope, just first.
All right. And then age, I'm 24, and he, him.
All right, Ryan, what are you here to debate about today?
Oh, last one. Capitalism is bad.
All right, I agree. Capitalism is bad.
Yeah, I'm going to take the counterpoint on that one.
Sure. Why do you think capitalism is not bad?
Uh, why is capitalism not bad? Because it's the most effective means of distributing resources in a society, at least that we've discovered currently.
I disagree. I think indigenous
What is
tribes
that?
were able to divvy up resources without any of them being poor and starving. Whereas in capitalism, we're not able to divvy up resources without there being a lower class of people and basically a group of people that are starving. In fact, capitalism physically cannot operate without a starving lower class.
I think that natives didn't starve is a pretty bold claim to make, but
They did
um,
not starve due to resource management. There were
okay,
famines
but
sometimes, sure,
if
but
yeah,
not due to
right, a
resource
famine,
management.
but isn't a famine just a lack of resources, food?
No.
Then what is a famine if not a lack of food?
Wait, I agree a famine is a lack of food, but when I'm talking about resource management, I mean when you have enough resources to provide for the people and you choose not to, I think this is an ineffective and bad system versus a system where when you have enough resources, you can provide it to the people. So in capitalism,
Okay,
we have
but
enough resources for everybody, we just
capitalism
don't give them.
capitalism doesn't have famine.
Yes, it does.
Okay, in the U.S.
What?
too. Okay, so
Huh?
let's narrow it specifically. Let's narrow it specifically to countries that will agree practice capitalism. So, let's talk Western countries. Is there a famine in the West currently?
No, but there was plenty of famines that have happened during capitalism. Like the Dust Bowl famously was a large famine.
Yep, and we corrected it. And now there's,
Yes. Can you point me to a famine that existed under a socialist country that was not corrected?
yeah, fair enough. Okay, so then we'll go on to the distribution, where I'll argue that the West does a better job at preventing famines.
You, famines are not something you can prevent. Famines are natural
Yes, they are.
disasters. No, they aren't.
Famines are a lack of resources, lack of food. You can
No,
look at you
no,
can look at
famines
directly
are
caused famines like in China, where that was a directly caused famine.
when there are famines, especially
Yeah,
famines due to like
so
natural
nice.
disasters. That's not something capitalism can just correct. Capitalism has to deal with the fact that there's a famine and that there's a lack of resources.
Right, but okay, so let me frame it like this. Capitalism is purely just ways to distribute resources, right? We agree on that.
No,
So,
that's not what I would
if
define
you
capitalism as.
well, that's what an economic system is. So, it's just one form of economic system. All economic systems just try to, divvy out resources. That's how they do it.
I don't think
That's
capitalism tries
that's
to
the
divvy out
difference.
resources, though.
Through whoever can most efficiently process the resources. Now, that's the
No,
general
it's to
theory. It
whoever
doesn't always
it's
work.
to whoever can afford the resources. They don't care about who can do it most efficiently. They just care about who can afford it.
The efficiency the efficiency comes from whoever can most efficiently manage the resources is the one who ends up with all of the resources, i.e., who can afford them.
No,
That's what about that do you disagree with?
there could be a small town that could 100% manage the resources of a lake better than Nestle can, but Nestle or we'll say access to fresh water better than like Nestle can, but because Nestle can afford because they have the
All right,
capital, they get the resource. It doesn't matter who can do it more efficiently. It matters who has the funds.
all right. I guess let's start this from a definition perspective. How would you define capitalism? If we can get an agreement on there, maybe we can get somewhere else.
The privatized ownership over the means of production.
Okay, and so we'll go with that definition. Privatized means of owners or private ownership of Say that again one more time. Sorry.
The privatization over the means of production.
All right, so private ownership over the means of production. All right, so from there, capitalism is good. I'm going to make my argument again, the efficient means, and how can I use that how can I frame that capitalism more efficiently distributes resources? I'm going to make that argument with the fact that capitalist countries have had the most consistent, long-lasting growth out of any other economic system, with the longest and most stable growth periods. And that is the most humane and positive thing you can do for humanity, is just give them consistent economic growth.
So a few things that I want to disagree with here. First and foremost, this growth that you're talking about, you're measuring this from a capitalist standpoint. So you're saying capitalism is better because yes, you are. Yes, you are.
You don't measure growth from a capitalist standpoint. Communist countries use GDP metrics as well.
Wait.
Everyone uses GDP.
Communism would not use GDP because communism has no money. There's no money under communism, so communism wouldn't use GDP. I don't know where you're getting this.
You don't need money to measure wealth, but it is the easiest way.
No, we're not talking about measuring wealth. You're talking about measuring GDP specifically. GDP, you absolutely need money to measure GDP.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
GDP is it only is measuring the imports, exports. It's measuring the income of a society. That's all it measures.
Which method? Okay, so hold on. Which method of GDP are you measuring? Because GDP, you measure GDP in 3 specific methods. Which method are you speaking about?
No, you measure GDP using all 3, but you don't need.
No, typically when we're measuring GDP in the U.S., we measure it on the expenditure method. But there's the income method and the output method. But all 3 of those require income and or profit to measure the GDP. All 3 use a profit model. You wouldn't do this under communism because there is no profit model under communism.
Purely theoretical point that
what?
Countries wouldn't use GDP because there'd be no money. But anyways, you're kind of jumping off, going down into theoretical rabbit holes rather than.
I'm not going into theoretical rabbit holes. If we're going to talk about capitalism and we're going to talk about communism, considering communism is a very specific thing, I'm going to talk about it in the specific sense in which it exists. I'm not going to talk about it in the sense of countries that don't exist that claim they were communist that didn't happen.
Right. So your original point was capitalism is bad.
Correct.
For it to be bad, it has to be relative to what?
No.
Now, relative to
bad doesn't need to have a relative. I don't need to have a relative for bad.
No, hold on.
I can claim it's bad based on the merits of its own. No, I can claim it's
theoretical, idealized.
No, I can claim it. Nope. I can claim it's bad based on the merits of its own operating and like how it operates amongst itself. For instance, I'll claim capitalism is bad because capitalism leads to exploitation. That's it. That's all I have to say. Capitalism, exploitation, therefore capitalism bad. I don't need anything else.
Does any system not lead to exploitation?
I don't care what other systems lead to. My point is that capitalism is bad.
So you don't care if capitalism is the best or the worst, but because it has exploitation in it, regardless of whether exploitation happens in all systems, you don't care. You just dislike capitalism.
Well, yeah. What does the prompt say?
No, I just wanted to clarify that you don't care about any other alternatives. You don't care about what the truth of the matter is. You're just
the straw man goes crazy right now. But if we want to talk about capitalism versus like communism, for instance, there would be no exploitation under communism. Wouldn't exist. Just like there was no exploitation. Just like not from a theoretical point of view. We can look at it when we look at indigenous tribes, and there was no exploitation.
There was exploitation.
Where?
Tribes in Native North America often practiced raiding. It was a very common practice.
They didn't often. It wasn't a very common practice, first of all.
Central America. So I'm Mexican. I can speak to this history pretty well.
Beautiful. You being Mexican doesn't. Hold on. You being Mexican doesn't fucking tell me anything, right? It doesn't tell me that you have an intricate knowledge. Stop. It doesn't. Stop. Stop.
I'm telling you that in
it
Central
doesn't.
America, Aztec
Give me a source, please.
The
Source.
Aztec society was
Source.
founded on exploitation. It was a very
Source.
imperialistic. It was actually
Source.
a hyper imperial source. The Aztecs were imperialistic. That they raided their neighbors. Come on, man.
Yeah, provide a source, please.
Okay? So I'll start off with a book, if that counts.
Right. I also would like to point out that I didn't just speak about the Aztecs. Like, I never even mentioned the Aztecs. I just mentioned indigenous tribes. So while you can pinpoint me indigenous tribes that might have done one thing, I can pinpoint you indigenous tribes that did not exploit people. So this idea that you can't exist in it.
You're the one who's making the claim that indigenous people do not exploit others. I'm making the claim
I
that
said
they
there were
do.
indigenous. I said there were indigenous.
I provided a claim
Jesus
that
fucking
they
Christ,
did.
bro.
A pretty widely accepted
Uh-huh.
circumstance under which they did.
Uh-huh. Again, when we look at indigenous tribes, there are tons of indigenous tribes that existed and did not exploit people. And the mere existence of this disproves your initial claim.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
How does it disprove?
Because your initial claim was all systems will exploit, which is not true.
No, that was not my initial claim. I said, can you name a system that does not exploit? I never said all do not. So I'll go to this really very interesting, isn't it? How the societies that quote unquote don't exploit, those very niche societies you're talking about, don't exist anymore, and how none of them really exist
capitalism,
anymore.
because colonialism fucking genocided them. What's your point?
Point being, it's not an efficient way to run a society. If
it was efficient until colonialism came through and literally genocided them. So you're blaming. I'm just confirming. We're now victim blaming the societies that were genocided and saying, well, they clearly weren't good societies. They clearly weren't good societies because the bigger societies came in and genocided them. That's what we're doing now?
No, but that's what
That's exactly what you just did. That's exactly what you just did.
What I said.
Yes, it is. You said this. You said these societies were not efficient because a bigger society was able to come in and wipe them out, and they don't exist anymore.
So you're saying the only indigenous societies in the world existed in North and South America?
No, I'm not. You absolute moron. Are you able to track this conversation? Honestly,
here's the thing.
The straw mans are crazy.
No, brother, you're just going off on. You're assuming.
No, you keep. No, you consist. No, you did. It's literally what. I'm sorry. Were the words that came out of your mouth? These societies weren't efficient because they don't exist anymore. Was that not the words that came out of your mouth?
But what society
was that? Is that what came out of your mouth? Yes or no?
You said all indigenous societies and assumed that I meant only the Americas.
Are those the words that came out of your mouth? Yes or no?
Yeah, but I was not referring to the Americas.
So what? So then, just confirming, right? When we look at tribes such as the Shoshones, right, who were a peaceful tribe that did not engage in war or conflict with any other tribe. They existed in a society which hunted and gathered, and they peacefully coexisted with the tribes around them, and they engaged in a system of non-exploitation. Does this mean that humans can exist in a system, sans capitalism, where people are given their resources and they do not exploit other people? Yes or no?
No, because they don't exist anymore.
Why don't they exist anymore?
Because other societies do not respect that point of view and never will.
So again, you're not saying that this wouldn't work off the merits of itself. You're saying it won't work because No, you're not. You're saying it won't work because capitalism is full of genocidal maniacs.
How are you
That's
going
what you're
to tell
saying.
me what I'm saying?
Because those are the words that came out of your mouth. Because those are the words that came out of your mouth.
No, they're not.
You just said they don't exist because other societies don't respect them. Is that not what you just said?
Right.
Is that not what you just said? Is that not what you just said?
Hold on. You deduced.
Is that not what you just said?
You deduced from that.
Is that not what you just said?
Because capitalist countries.
Is that not what you just said?
So let's get this straight.
Is that not what you just said? Is that not what you just said?
Even existed.
Is that not what you just said?
That society was.
Is that not what you just said? Yes or no?
Based on what you're dragging out from it, no.
So you did not just say that these societies don't exist anymore because other societies didn't respect them. That's not what you just said?
I said, yeah, yeah, fair enough.
Oh,
Give
okay.
it a
So it is
shot.
what you just said. Thanks. Maybe don't
Sure.
be disingenuous. And when I say that this is what you just said, admit that it's what you just
You're
said.
the one being disingenuous. I'm
I'm
just
not the
trying to
one.
argue
I'm
the
not the one
point.
denying the words that I just said, which you just did. You said, "Well, it was not what I just said," even though it was the exact words you just said. Thanks.
Because your deduction of what I said was wrong. And
I'm sorry. Did you just say
refuse,
that they
I
didn't respect
refuse
them? Is
to
that not what you
accept
said?
your framework
Is
for
that
it.
not what
I
you
refuse
said?
to accept your
Is that not what
framework
you said?
for it.
Is that
No,
not what you
I know
said?
what I said, but I
Oh,
refuse
great.
to accept your
So you know
framework
what you
for
just
it.
said. When did when just real quick? When did the Shoshone tribes? When did they start to disappear?
You know what? You're the one who seems more educated on it, so give it a roll.
They disappeared around like the 1800s, when the United States genocided them.
Okay,
Multiple
all right.
massacres by the United States. Did capitalism exist in the 1800s?
Sure, it did.
Oh,
Yeah, you got me on that point.
when you said, oh, these societies existed before capitalism, that was wrong.
No,
That
those
it's not
societies did exist
that it's
before
not
capitalism.
capitalism, that it's when you said that it's capitalism couldn't have been the ones that destroyed them, because they
No, I
didn't
didn't
exist
say
during
that. I said
capitalism.
capitalism isn't the only one responsible.
What would be what the United States massacring a group of people so they can take that land, what would that be?
That would be, I mean, you could call it genocide, you could call it invasion,
What
depends on the time
economic
period
system
and
would
where
it
you're
be where
from.
the United States wants land so that they can put settlers on that land, cultivate that land, and earn a profit off that land? And to do so, they massacre a group of people. What economic system would this be under?
Any economic system. China
What
did the same thing
what
in
one is this
Taiwan under the
under?
Ming Dynasty in
What's
1950.
you're being this is why I know you're being
In the
disingenuous. This is why I know you
No,
know
it's
the answer.
because
You know the
you're
answer is
trying to argue
capitalism.
that it's
You
only
know the answer is
no, because
capitalism.
it
You know
isn't.
that the United States was a capitalist
Every
society.
country
You
has
know this.
practiced
You're just
that,
being
regardless of
disingenuous.
capitalism and before capitalism's
You are
existence.
just being
Everyone has done that.
disingenuous. You are
No,
just being
no,
disingenuous.
you just have such great historical ignorance that you can only know
Really?
history
I
for
have the
past
historical ignorance. I
1600.
have the historical
Yes,
ignorance. You thought that you didn't know when this tribe was
yes, I
genocided.
didn't know
You didn't
when one of
know.
the
You didn't.
one of
Yeah.
thousands of tribes
So
from
clearly, I don't have the historical
yes.
ignorance, right? I'm not the one who said something incorrect about history. You are. So clearly,
Ooh, you know
so
one big
clearly,
tribe,
so
dude. Get off your high
clearly,
horse.
so clearly, I'm not the one with
Yes.
historical inaccuracies. It's you. Correct.
No, I had one historical inaccuracy. You a
You
whole
had
entire
multiple
textbook.
historical inaccuracies.
So
You had
really cool.
multiple.
So you asked what societies would invade another, kill all their people, and what was it? Take the land
No,
and resources.
I asked
Yeah.
what economic system was the US operating under when it massacred a group of people so it could
Oh,
take those
okay.
people's
So
land
if that's the
and
way you want
profit
to
off
phrase
of
it
that
now,
land?
I'll give
That's
if
how I
that's
phrased
the
it
way you
before.
choose.
That's how I set
If
up the
that's the way
question
you choose.
before.
All right. If that's
That's
the way
how
you
I set up the question
choose
before.
to phrase it
That's
now,
how I set up
I'll
the
say
question before.
capitalism to that.
Oh,
The
okay, so
U.S.
great.
did that under
So
capitalism.
capitalism is bad again because it will genocide a group of people in order to get those people off of the land so that the United States can then take that land and generate a profit off of that land. Thank you.
So what
Super easy.
economic
Wow, that's
system is
great.
good then, other than a theoretical one?
This is wonderful. I'm glad that we ended up here understanding that capitalism is bad. Beautiful.
So what economic system is good, if that's the case? If all of the criteria you just listed, what economic system is good that currently exists
That currently exists.
or has existed in like a not a small niche tribe, but in like an actual past the city state
What is
level?
it? What does it matter? What does it matter whether it existed in a smaller tribe or not? It would still have existed, correct? Why are you moving the goalpost?
It still
Why
has
is
existed,
the
but it isn't
goalpost
relevant to modern times
moving? Why is the goalpost moving?
because it's not relevant to modern times.
How is it not relevant to modern times?
Because of technological changes.
What technological changes have made it so that we cannot exist in a society that provides basic resources to people without exploiting them?
Because technological changes dictate how societies can work. You look at ancient societies, the biggest thing that caused the rise of cities, or rather the rise of empires, was the fact that you can have horses that introduce faster communication and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it works very similarly with modern societies where smaller states just don't work. They just don't exist.
Did
and that's why they
anybody,
don't.
hey chat, did anybody notice he didn't answer the question I asked?
What was your question?
What technological advances do we have that would make it
Right.
impossible for us to have a society which provides people their basic resources without exploiting them?
It's a poorly framed question
How is it a poorly framed question?
because it isn't technological, it's political.
You said, when I said that why can't we apply this stuff to now, you said because of technology, because of technological advances. So then
Yeah,
your
it's
answer,
technology.
so then
Yeah,
your
you're right. I'll
answer
give
to
you
my
that.
previous question would
Yeah,
be the incorrect
technological
one.
and political because we have such advanced weapons now, and because of the truly political views of other countries, that independent countries are not able to survive unless they're willing to exploit other people. Simple as.
So then I would say capitalism is bad because it forces every country to exploit people, and capitalism forces
Every
exploitation.
system has done that since the dawn of human.
Except that's crazy. You're gonna sit here and
exaggeration.
yeah, I know it is because we've already went over a system that didn't.
So name. Okay, I'll even give you this. Within the last 400 years, name a system that's been able to meet the criteria of not invading other people, not taking their land, and not genociding them.
Cuba working under a Marxist-Leninist system has not taken
Cuba does
anybody's
not
land.
exploit it. It does not exploit its people.
No, Cuba does not exploit its people. America exploits Cuba's people.
Okay, so what do you call taxes?
Taxes are not exploitation.
No.
No.
All right, let me give me a source that claims Cuba has no exploitation, no crime, no prison system, nothing. Or actually, rather,
crime is not exploitation. Crime is not exploitation.
Define exploitation with very specific metrics to measure.
Yeah, exploitation would be taking a surplus value of a person's labor in return, not paying them that surplus value.
Isn't that what taxes is?
No, taxes is not that.
How are taxes not that? They're taking your surplus labor.
No, taxes are taking your income to provide you with services. So you are receiving services for the income that you're paying.
So they're taking your.
I know the goal. I know the goalposts. I know the goalposts. I know you got to keep moving the goalposts, but it's not working.
No, you said exploitation is taking your surplus labor. That's what taxes are.
No, it's not.
Taking your surplus labor.
No, they're not.
Okay, so what is your income? Isn't your income just what you get for your labor? It's the value of your labor, right? So if someone's taking money from your income, what are they doing?
Taxes are a service rendered position, or they should be a service rendered position. When it comes to taxes, yeah, I know you're gonna run. All right, see you. Go ahead and run. Go ahead and run. I get it.
Yeah, no, it's
yep.
Just
go ahead and run. You're running. No, you're running. But go ahead.
Yeah, you can't even agree with your own definitions, man.
I've already explained. I've already explained why taxes under a system that actually provides a service is not exploitation. You haven't been able to contend with that, so you just keep repeating the premise, even though I've already explained why it's not.
No, you tried to.
Nope, I explained exactly why it's not, and you have not contended with that.
For it.
I have not created a definition. I've stated very plainly that when it comes to taxes, you are being provided a service.
Your definition.
I have not shifted my definition.
You gave one definition.
My definition didn't move. My definition was somebody takes your surplus labor while giving you nothing in return. Taxes give you something in return.
No, you said someone takes your surplus labor.
And what was the other clarification I made right after that?
You didn't make another one.
Yes, I did. I didn't say it was just the take of surplus labor. I didn't say that. I said there's more. No, I didn't. See, either you're purposely not listening so you can be disingenuous, or you're just stupid and not listening so you can be disingenuous. Which one is it?
You know, for a guy who's 300 pounds, you really
I don't give a shit. I don't care about that. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. If you want to resort to like making fun of my appearance, I don't give a fuck. He ran. They just ran, bro. Like, come on. He just ran. It's what they do.